Hey, hello, world. It's Carm Capriato. It's Aftermarket Weekly here on Remarkable Results Radio. God, we so love to do that. I don't know about this guy who's on with me. You just saw his picture, Jaron Kleber. Jaron, how are you, man?
Hey, Carm, I'm doing well. Appreciate you having me on as always.
Hey, man, you've been a world traveler. I know you've been getting out a lot.
Yeah. So let's see. The last 10 days, I think I've been in my bed twice. And I leave this week to attend a trade show later this week. So it's good stuff. It's par for the course.
Will I see you there?
I think you will.
Darn right I will. ASTE, can't wait to see you and so many of my friends. We'll have our studio there. Hey, we're coming to you recorded on tape from the Dorman Training Studio, which we sometimes call my Carm Cave. So glad to have Dorman Training here as a great sponsor and partner on the show. Automotive technologies of today and tomorrow demand that professional technicians continuously maintain and grow their knowledge and skill sets. If one does not update, they will evaporate. Mastering the changing technologies, adapting new and more efficient testing techniques, and exploring new tooling and equipment applications are just a few challenges. Dorman Training is dedicated to providing the latest information and proven service and repair tips brought to you by some of the nation's best instructors in the company of some of the nation's best technicians. Dorman has been a leader in driving new product solutions for the automotive aftermarket for more than a century. With DormanTrainingCenter.com, we also deliver the technical training and insight service professionals need to further their careers and stay current. The automotive industry constantly evolves with technical advancements, making it crucial for technicians to stay updated with the latest trends and techniques. By undergoing comprehensive training, aspiring technicians will equip themselves with the necessary skills and knowledge to excel in their field. In addition to personal technical training throughout the United States, Dorman Training Center delivers online training modules covering a wide variety of topics, with new resources rolling out regularly. Whatever your role or experience, you can find helpful information on DormanTrainingCenter.com. Dorman Technical Training covers many of today's advanced automotive systems, including hybrid EV, driver assistance, diagnostics, emission, and complex electronics. Created for working service professionals and taught by ASE certified instructors, classes are held as lunch and learns in the evenings and weekends at on-site locations, as well as available on demand. Bring your knowledge to the next level at DormanTrainingLive.com. Thank you, Dorman. Hey, Jaron, I know our topic is 5 steps to max your potential and maintain a healthy work-life balance. Well, there's an awful lot of words to explain these. I'm burned out. What a grind. Oh, my God. There needs to be a better way. What am I doing wrong? And how about this one? Can I sustain this pace? And so I have to tell you, in all my years of being on this earth and working my butt off to advance the aftermarket, and I mean, I probably have said some of those things to myself more than a few times. And I think it's so critical today that you're out there preaching this stuff through Repair Shop of Tomorrow, Jaron is the national sales manager of Repair Shop of Tomorrow, a Napa Auto Care endorsed program. And it's great to see the great awards you are winning and RSOT are winning, and being out there preaching, if you will, the gospel of work-life balance. And if anyone wants to turn this thing off before hearing all this great discussion, shame on you. Keep grinding yourself into the earth.
Well, appreciate the kind words there, the lead in. It's kind of interesting, because we live in a society where it's almost gotten to a point, right? Like if you follow some of these motivational speakers, it's almost gotten to a point where like you're supposed to be in this grind, right? Like if you're not working 24 hours a day and you're not hustling every single minute of every single day, you can sometimes get this perception that, man, I'm not doing enough. And it's really interesting because I've done some studies and you read some statistics. Really successful people always feel like they're the ones that are most unsuccessful, and that they continue, their best is never good enough. And so they're always continuing to get a little bit better. And then on the flip side, the folks that maybe aren't as successful, they're kind of content and they're like, yeah, I'm kind of good where I'm at. I feel like I'm doing well enough. So, as we work with shop owners across the country, it's kind of an interesting dynamic. Again, the best ones are almost putting themselves sometimes into this nonstop working, grinding situation because they want to achieve this level of success in their own mind that might be unobtainable. And so,
I love what you just said. I got to stop because my mind's going a mile a minute about the words assurance, the words confidence, the word are you content, the words are overworked. And I can't help but think, Jaron, think about if I had a coach or a mentor who was guiding me and just really helping me out and saying, listen, this imposter syndrome, you're really doing good. You are. And oh, by the way, we've accomplished a lot of good things. Where does the owner of a shop today, the leader, a manager of a shop, walk away with a really good feeling at night and not going home saying, I didn't get this done, I didn't get this done? I mean, and not looking at, we did this, we made these people happy. It's almost like we're dragging the negative.
yeah, and again, it's one of those things that I think a little bit we've just kind of, as society, we've kind of conditioned ourselves to. You see the catchphrases, right? Money doesn't sleep, and all these little buzzwords that you hear. But our job as a coaching company is to help you realize those goals, help you stay accountable, achieve those goals, but also really to give you the reassurance that you are on the right path, you are moving the ball forward. But the important thing is if you don't take time out of your business to be with your family, to really work on, yourself, then ultimately you're going to get burnt out. And there's just no way that you can continue to grind and grind every single day and not experience some sort of burnout. And so, when I talk to shop owners, I like to talk about, we talk about SOPs, you talk about SOPs on this podcast all the time. You've made the comment, Dave Justice, our president of Repair Shop Tomorrow, his middle name should be SOPs.
Yeah, it should be. Oh, and by the way, I've always said this. And Dave, when I first met Dave and he was Mr. SOP, I said, my God, man, systems and processes, they win wars, right? They
Right.
win wars. They gain share. They make people happy. And I just love his passion for that. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, what we try to do, and again, I preach this all the time. Like you said, I travel all across the country and I think I'll eclipse 100 nights in a hotel this year. And so I'm on the road sometimes more than I am in my own bed. But just like your shop needs processes and we need consistency, I'm a big believer that we need those processes and those consistencies in our life as well so that we can function at a high level. And I really, Carm, I really think it all starts in the beginning of the day. And so I just like to share a story real quick. What I see working for successful people, I see it working for myself is just constantly having that consistency in the morning before I get to work. And if you think about it, most people before they start their day, what is the first thing that they do? A lot of people hit their snooze button on their alarm. Okay.
Okay.
Now, to me, this is just my mindset, right? Because I'm a believer in that our mind is what really makes us great and what's the difference between successful and unsuccessful people. So for me, if I'm hitting that alarm clock and I'm hitting that snooze button before I even get out of bed in the morning, I'm basically telling myself that I've already lost the day, right? The first task that I had to complete, I've said, I don't want to do it. It's too hard. Now, there's some interesting science really behind why you should never hit the snooze button. So if anybody is out there that is doing that, I encourage you to listen. So there's been a lot of studies done about this. And so what happens is in our body when we go to sleep, right, Carm, we have different sleep cycles throughout the night. Okay. And so a sleep cycle typically lasts 75 to 90 minutes. So let's just say you wake up at your alarm set for 6 o'clock. Okay. And you go ahead and you hit the snooze button and you want it to go off at 6:10 or 6:15. Well, what has happened now is I think we've all been in this stage where 10, 15 minutes later, we wake up and we feel like, oh my gosh, this is the best sleep I've had all night. I feel so tired. This is the best sleep I've had all night. Well, the reason behind that is because we are only 10 to 15 minutes into another sleep cycle. And so the science behind that is called sleep inertia. And what they say is when you do that affects the next 4 hours of your day. And so think about it as a shop owner or a service advisor or a technician. The busiest part of your day is typically the morning. And so, do you want to put yourself in a groggy, negative state for the first 4 hours of the day when you are greeting clients, building out repair orders, doing inspections, and trying to set your team up for success? My challenge for everybody is that if you are hitting the snooze button, just get out of bed, put your feet on the ground, and go to work. Because if you think about it, it's really the easiest thing you have to do all day is literally get out of bed.
Help me understand if I snooze and I feel really good and I got a 15-minute jolt, if you will, in my mind, how that sets up the 4 hours ahead of me.
I think most people feel when that 10 minutes goes off, it feels like you've slept like this is the deepest sleep you've had all night,
It feels
right?
like it. I
It
mean, even
feels
though
like
it
it.
isn't, I got
But
it.
in reality, yeah, it isn't, right? Now all of a sudden it's like we're up, we force ourselves to get up, but now we're in this like sleep inertia, this bad state. And again, I'm trying to figure out, like, in my personal life, and this is something that we try to help our clients with as well. I'm trying to figure out how I can have more good days than bad days. Okay. And I have a direct correlation. When I have a bad day, some of the adjectives, I guess, that you would describe my bad day is I'm tired, I'm unmotivated, I'm grumpy, maybe. Those are three adjectives. Well, if I'm not starting my day off in the right foot, then now all of a sudden these things start to compound. And now all of a sudden I start to project them on my employees. I also start to project them on clients. And so, again, my whole goal is how can I have more good days than bad days? And for me, it starts with getting out of bed. I do a little reading in the morning. I go to the gym. And then when I come home, I feel like I've attacked pretty much my day. My morning is started off in the right foot and it allows me to be successful. And those are some of the things we try to teach to our clients as well, because it's not just about having success in your shop. We certainly need professional success, but we also need personal success so that we don't get burnout.
I don't want to belabor the snooze button, but in my mind, if you hit the snooze button every day, it's irrelevant. Do you set your clock the 15 minutes ahead, or do you count on that? Oh my God, I've never had better sleep at all. I mean, I guess it's a psychological thing, it's a habitual thing.
Yeah, and like I said, for me, look, maybe everybody's not the same way, but for me, I'm a big mindset
All right.
individual.
Okay.
The Admiral McCraven, I'm sure you've seen, he gave the UT commencement speech. He spoke at the 2015 Napa Expo. The thing he says you should do in the morning is make your bed, because no matter what happens throughout the day, you've at least accomplished the first task. You've at least accomplished one task. And that's kind of my attitude on it as well. Like I said, I like to put myself in a positive state because life's hard, business is hard, and there's a bunch of challenges that we have and that we face every single day. It's just about getting off on the right foot and just starting on the right foot
Mhm.
really is the big thing for me.
It's brilliant stuff. I've never been a snooze button guy ever in my life, so I can't relate to that, but it makes so much sense to me. If your job as a leader and you're listening to this, you says, well, maybe that's the reason that I press the snooze button when I get in my car driving to work because I want to try to clear my mind because the minute I walk past that demarc line and into my business, chaos.
The beginning of your day as a shop owner, that to me, you could say the beginning of the day and maybe the end of the day. And of course, there's chaos throughout, but we really want to set ourselves up for success.
Yeah.
And if you're mentally, not in the right place before you get into work, then ultimately that's going to affect your performance.
Is maximizing bring my energy level where it needs to be. Of course, I love your idea, reading, gym, I mean, all that in my mind. I can't imagine how strong that would be in getting you as an individual to be at peak performance. Where does coffee come in?
I drink a lot of coffee. So
Okay,
it
so do
it
I.
it comes in a lot. Now, what's funny is this is a complete tangent, but we've had conversations before, and people who've seen me do presentations know like to tell a lot of stories. There's actually been some studies that say it is, as you drink coffee, it negatively affects you if the first thing you do in the morning is drink coffee. Because, and I'm going to screw this up but it's something with the receptors in your body. Like, you're supposed to wait 90 minutes before you give yourself caffeine. And again, it was on some other podcast that I listened to, but I've seen that get brought up a few times,
Sure.
but I don't follow that. If my coffee pot, if I don't smell that coffee when my alarm goes off, then there's a good chance I might fall into that bad habit and hit that.
Well, there's a motivator to get out of bed, the smell of coffee.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you mentioned energy because again, I talk about that a lot when I do my presentations. And when I say energy, I always have to preface it because, the automotive industry sometimes is, the training seems to be sometimes similar. And I start talking about energy management and people look at me like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
I'm not talking about the sun or crystals or anything like that. What I'm talking about is things that we can control, right?
Yeah.
And so from an energy perspective, we can really control, there's really four, but I always talk about, the physical energy that you have and the emotional energy that you have. And so the physical energy is really just the quality, or excuse me, the quantity of energy that you have, right? So how much or how little. And there's really four things that affect that. It's food, fitness, sleep, and recovery. Now, the emotional energy, that's the quality. So that's really how you feel. And so people that struggle with depression, anxiety, they're constantly struggling with that emotional energy side. But if you take it back to how you're starting your day, right? And we need the physical energy to be there, but we also need the quality of energy to be there. Again, I think that has a direct reflection on how we set up our morning. Because when I don't do those things that I talked about, then all of a sudden the quality of the energy that I have is not good and I don't have a lot of it. And then I start to get into this downward spiral where I don't want to make another phone call or I don't want to get this work done. And so it really all for me, it really all kind of compounds. And you don't have to get up and go to the gym for, an hour, 5 days a week. That's what works for me. But, simply going outside and taking a walk 30 minutes 3 times a week, I mean, the effects that has on you on, the dopamine in your brain and how that can help you, it's really incredible. And so I just encourage everybody, figure out what it works for you and then apply that to your daily life, just like we would teach you to apply SOPs in your business and just give it a try and see what happens.
A quick side note here. Today, when I releasing my Monday morning email slash blog, I wrote about music and I wrote about the energy that you can get from music and how music can literally change your disposition, your attitude, your everything. And I can't help but say that if you're not having a good day, sometimes your top 20 favorite songs can put you in a place you never thought of being. And if things are great and you want to celebrate yourself because you had a great day, things are going so well in your world and in your life, that top 20 song just takes you to Everest, right? And so there's so many studies out. You hit the word dopamine, and I think I wrote that in the article as to how much you can be moved by rhythm and words. And, I happen to like strings when I hear violins and cellos in songs. They somehow inspire me. So there's a lot of songs that I like. Electric Light Orchestra is a great example of a group that I really like. So in kind of getting on your energy side here, don't forget music.
That's a great point because, like I said, I'm traveling all across the country for Repair Shop tomorrow, and I'm doing seminars and training events. And I always tell people, I always have to get when I'm presenting, I have to get to the room early because I have to visualize, of course, and I want to see everything in the layout and obviously make sure the technology is working. But really, I grab my earbuds and I put them in and I stand in the back of the room and I have my clicker and I play a certain song
Cool.
and I click through my slides and I'm kind of just kind of
I love it.
going through the motions, clicking. I know what I'm going to say, but it's funny you bring that up because if people will walk in and they'll see me and I'll look off and acknowledge them, but like I'm in my zone. Like
Yeah, exactly.
I
Get out
need
of
this
my
to
way.
happen. Yeah, I
I
need
love
this
it.
to happen.
I can't believe it. It's amazing how we're zenning on the same platform about managing energy and making an elixir in your life. And I always go back to being a leader and getting into that business and realizing the responsibility that you have to your people, to your clients. And to me, that's an energy boost for me. It's almost like you can't wait. And I was being sarcastic when I say you walk in the business and the chaos starts. Frankly, if you let the chaos start, then shame on you. And that's what this whole podcast is about, is just figuring out how to get that behind you.
One thing too, Carm, I think is important, and I'd like to, get your opinion on it as well. So I'll flip the roles here maybe and ask you a question. You're interviewing shop owners all across the country, and you've put out great material about why it's beneficial for coaching for the business owners. And I love the article you did, the 5 reasons not to hire a business coach. I may or may not have used some of that in my sales pitches.
Yeah, but you live it every day.
But I do, you're right,
Yeah,
I do
yeah,
live
yeah.
it. But are you seeing maybe a shift in culture when you're dealing with some of these really successful owners? Are they spending more time investing in their people as well? And not just from a technical training standpoint, but I think our it's no shock, our whole country is kind of in a mental health epidemic if you kind of pay attention. It seems like everybody's got these problems. I was talking with a shop owner at Vision, a multi-shop owner, and he said, we really need a class on this type of topic because he goes, everyone in my shop, every one of my technicians is on some sort of medication for anxiety, for depression. And so, as you talk with successful shop owners, is that something that you're seeing a shift maybe where they're trying to figure out a way where they can invest in their people and not just their professional goals, but their personal goals?
Yeah, I hear more of it all the time. Paying attention to what's going on in everybody's life beyond the shop. We cannot be closed minded and say, you leave your problems at the door. You can't have your cell phone. Your life stops the minute you walk through. It cannot work like that. You're never going to hire great people. Why? Life is critical and complicated today in everybody's world. Everyone has a story and something that's going on in their world. A great friend of yours, Pete McNeil, I interviewed him. He'll be coming on in a few weeks to talk about an article that he wrote for Napa Insights magazine on the changing role of how we need to deal with, some different and hybrid pay plans. Someone comes in every day at 8:15, they're supposed to be there at 8. It's a simple story to tell, but it's critical. How come you're here every day at 8:15? Oh, hey boss, sorry, kid just started school, wife got a different job. I have to take my child to school. And taking that child to school will always get in the way of work, but it doesn't satisfy the 8 o'clock start and every one of their peers that they work with. So you sit down, you figure out, or if you can get here every day at 8:15, you're going to work till 5:15. We'll tell the team you've got something going on in your life. And so if it's healthcare, if helping someone get a house, whatever's going on in their world, the shift in the top tier shops in our country is to pay attention to their people. We've all said this over and over again on shows. It's not that we have a lack of technicians, we have a lack of really good shops for them to work at. The better shops we get, the more they're going to gravitate to you because there's too many frustrated technicians out there that are languishing and not wanting and willing to make a move. We've got to broadcast this incredible industry to more people.
I mean, I couldn't agree more. The whole check your problems at the door, scenario, look, maybe it worked 20, 30 years ago. Maybe it didn't, and it just didn't get talked about. But in today's culture, I am one of those millennials. I do not live in my parents' basement, though. I do have my own house and my own family.
Oh,
But
oh,
yeah,
hmm.
I would save a lot of money if I did. But the work life balance is so important for the younger generation. And I'm not saying you have to be a psychiatrist and you have to help them through all their problems, but just showing them that you actually care about them. And, here's something, you're doing your reviews or you're hiring a new employee, and maybe there's a 30, 60, 90-day performance plan, or maybe it's a long term employee. How many times do shop owners sit down with their employees and lay out professional goals that they have for them, but then they also lay out personal goals that employee has for themselves.
Yeah.
I personally, every year, I put down a list of professional goals that I want to achieve. I make them lofty because that's who I am. But really, more importantly, for me, I put down professional goals. And these are things that or excuse me, personal goals. These are things that I want to work on. And so, I have them in my office, hanging on the wall so that I look at them all the time. And from a personal goal standpoint, told myself this year that I needed to be present, be patient, and be positive, and that I wanted to unplug every single night that I was home from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock so that I could be with my family. And unfortunately, I struggle with that. If I was to rate myself this year, I would say I've probably failed at that. Thankfully, I have a team at Repair Shop Tomorrow that helps me and holds me accountable and asks me and invests in me and tells me, "Hey, when's the last time you took your wife on a date? Oh, you haven't done it this month? You need to go out and do that." And so as a shop owner, I challenge you. Yes, it's important that our business is successful. Yes, we need to make money, but it all starts with your people. And if your people feel like they're a part of a family, a community, and you're actually sitting down with them and you're holding them accountable so that they have a good work life balance, I mean, think about from a production standpoint, from a culture standpoint, how much better of an environment that is for someone to come work in.
Totally agree. Thank you for your transparency on that. That's incredible. I so many of the things you're discussing here, there has been so much buzz on our podcast about that. One of them of recently, I can't remember which show it was. We were starting to talk about deep think. And if you want to leave your problems at home and that's the stance inside of your business, they're going to be there if you like it or not in a stage that I don't know where I read it, but a deep think state. And that state is that you can't get your mind off the problems and the issues that you have. My God, we've done shows on substance abuse and all the stuff that cycles in our crazy world today. It's if we have this 8.5-second attention span, which is what I continue to read that very many young people have, imagine if that 8.5-second attention span on this issue, think about bringing that deep think, and then think about losing track on tightening lug nuts, loosening tracks on where was I, what was I doing, and the whole productivity and the efficiency and the team play. I think it's critical. Thank you for bringing that up, talking about having personal goals. I see how all of that put in some semblance of order of responsibilities as a leader, as a team player, have everything to do with work-life balance.
Like I said, for somebody that, like myself, that travels all across the country all the time, it's really important. It's really important for me to, when I'm home, it's important for me to try to unplug and, like I said, be present and be patient. I have a 5-year-old son and a 3-year-old daughter, and I came home from our conference. We just had our Repair Shop Tomorrow Mastermind conference in Cleveland, and I left on Sunday and I came home on Saturday. And unfortunately, I left again on Monday. And so I was telling my son that, I had to leave again on Monday. And oh, by the way, I'll miss Halloween because I'll be at Apex and SEMA as well on Halloween. And so I took him to the park. I took my son and my daughter to the park, and he started playing with this kid he never didn't know, and they just started playing, and they were on the little jungle gym next to me, and I heard him say, "I'm really sad. My dad just got home today, and he leaves again on Monday, and he's gonna miss Halloween." And I was just like, you know, it broke my heart to hear that, but it was a good reminder that I needed that, hey, look, it's really important as shop owners that we're successful and that we invest a ton of time into our business. But at some point, there's got to be that separation.
Yeah.
And if you don't let it happen, it's going to affect your personal life, which then is going to bleed over into the business. And if you have that negative attitude, Now all of a sudden your employees start to feel it. It's coming from you. If your employees feel it, well, then your clients, how do they react, right? And it's just a downward spiral. And so I guess my point of all that is, take a look inside yourselves as shop owners, as business owners. Um, if you're working with a business coach, challenge them to hold you accountable
Yeah.
to not only achieve those professional goals, but to make sure that you have your personal goals in line as well.
I love your point about having a mentor coach, someone in a networking group, a peer that you could count on to say, listen, you got to hold me accountable for this. When you hire a coach, it should never be an adversarial thing. Yeah, I know you're paying money and I know they're going to help you run a better business, but they've got to help you be a better leader and a better parent. And I love what you brought up about having your coach. If you know what your weaknesses are as a parent, even though you don't want to share it, the wife says that about me all the time, but I'm unwilling to agree with her because it's a part of me I don't want to expose. Wrong. I mean, when my kids were 10 and 8, when Tracy was 8, and I sold the business and I went on the road for corporate America. Wow. I credit her all the time, and I even tell the kids, I wish I was there more for you. And to your point about being present, but here's the reason that I'm saying all of this. Sometimes it is so hard, Jaron, to turn it off, and you have to purposely do it.
Yeah. And like I said, I purposely have to do it because I will stay on 24/7. And
So someone told me I was in Philadelphia this past weekend, and I was chatting with someone about a little bit about their career, and well, yeah, I was working for corporate America and this or that, and we were talking about airport delays and all this stuff, and and the guy's telling me the story, and so Carm, I finally got home. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning. I flipped up my laptop at 3 and sent an email so my boss knew that I was still on duty, and I looked at that person. I said, "There's got to be a better way."
well, yeah, there is a better way, right? But unless we, to your point, and I feel like this, I feel like everybody needs a business coach. And I'm not talking just in our space in our automotive industry.
Right,
If
right.
you look at successful CEOs, entrepreneurs, they have somebody hold them accountable. And of course, if you're in the automotive industry and you're a Napa Auto Care Center, we would love to talk to you about Repair Shop Tomorrow and how we put together our programs. But it's funny, the accountability thing. And you mentioned Tracy. There's a handful of us in the automotive industry that are around the same age
Yeah.
where we started a kind of a group messaging, a group, and there's like 7 or 8 of us in this group. And every morning it's like a race to see who's the first one to message and show that they've gotten up and that they're at the gym. And that's just turned into this fun little accountability that we have with one another.
Yeah.
And when we're on the road, we'll like go to the gym together, we'll work out together, trying to put ourselves in the right spot to start
Yeah.
the day. And
I love that. Right
yeah,
spot. I mean,
yeah.
come on. And everyone has a right spot.
Yeah, so, it's fun, like you said, it's fun. And we've got people that are on the West Coast, and so they may get annoyed because us on the East Coast are sending messages at 6 o'clock in the morning, and it's 3 o'clock in the morning their time. But if you need an accountability, partner, like I said, reach out to us. We'd love to have a conversation. And again, our goal is to really help you be more successful, not just in your shop, but just overall. I mean, the best thing that you can do for your family is and for your business, right, is to put the people in place that can make you successful so that you can spend the time that you need away from the business and really spend, the time focusing with your family. Because at the end of the day, that's really what it's all about. The money is a necessary evil. We need money to live. But if we just spend our whole lives chasing the money, we'll just always be chasing it. If we do the right thing, we put the right people in place, we're working with the right people, we'll be successful and the money will come.
It's great. I want to kind of put a bow on this because this has been great. I think this was a perfect episode. I think there's a lot of transparency, a lot of honesty, a lot of emotion in this episode for all the right reasons. And I always think of, so what's holding people back, Jaron? I always think about that. What's holding this industry's got, when I started podcasting, 8% of the top tier people. I'm hoping that I could really say, because of everything that the industry is doing to become more professional, better leaders, maybe we're at 18, 20% of the top tier, but there's so many more to drag in. And I know so many people in the industry. I meet so many at conferences, and I know that they're successful in their own rights. But inside, I believe, need to know that they need to go to the next level. They don't want to expose their weaknesses. 20-year veterans, successful, got a great business, nowhere near as profitable as they should be, yet they're okay with where they are. And they could be 10 times better if they didn't want to expose what they don't know about margin and profitability and cost management and marketing and all of the KPIs that will lend itself to being a much better business. And so instead of worrying about exposing my weaknesses, I think the terms that people should use because they want to be better is to say just that. Hey, I want to be better. Instead of saying, oh God, here, I just got undressed in front of you and look at what I don't know, just saying, hey, teach me this. I want to know more about that. And they become a sponge. And all of a sudden they say, you know what? Maybe having a coach isn't a bad idea. Maybe joining a networking group isn't a bad idea. Maybe being on this conference call or listening to Carmen's podcast isn't a bad idea. Look at the ideas that I can take. And I'm not saying it's a DIYer thing, because I think sooner or later, the DIYers who are out there absorbing this say, I better get a coach because I think I'll do more if I get one.
I think what sometimes is holding people back, and to try to put a bow on, like you said, on everything is, I talk a lot about, certainly to your point, right? People are, I'm doing well. I built this business, and I always relate it to sports. I like to play golf. Tiger Woods has had a golf coach since he's been 3 years old. He's arguably one of the best golfers in the world. And he still has a coach. And oh, by the way, he has a strength and conditioning coach, a putting coach, a swing coach, a mental coach, everything. But I think what sometimes people struggle with is they struggle like transitioning their mind, again, going back to the mind, from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset. So a fixed mindset basically, it's what you come, like you think you come pre-wired out of the box, right? So I don't understand P&Ls, right? That's my fixed mindset. Or I don't understand the KPIs that matter in my business. And what we need to help people realize is we need to switch that fixed mindset to a growth mindset, right? So in a growth mindset, we believe our abilities, we can achieve greater things through hard work and dedication, right? And so sometimes I think that blocker right there is kind of stopping people because we let our past, we let our thoughts kind of dictate our reality. And guess what? Our past, our thoughts, like what we're thinking in our head, that doesn't have to be the future. That doesn't have to be our plan, right? We can implement these things that we've talked about. We can work with a business coach. We can learn new skill sets and we can become better. And for those that are willing to do that, those are the folks that come on your podcast that are successful, that have a bay full of technicians, and will continue to lead the industry today and into the future.
Great summary, man. So we started out talking about 5 steps to max your potential and maintain a healthy work-life balance. We probably covered 10, but that's a great thing. Thank you for your great wisdom and sharing so transparently how you are making yourself way more successful, a better dad, a better husband, which is what this whole thing is about. So we can stop being burned out and, maybe get out of our grind a little bit. Stop asking the question, what am I doing right or wrong? But say, what should I be doing right?
Yeah.
Excellent. Excellent
Yeah.
stuff.
Well, Carm, as always, I appreciate you having me on. And
Yeah.
We appreciate what you do for the industry. I don't get to catch all your podcasts, but I certainly have it downloaded, and I spend a lot of times in airplanes catching up when I can.
I appreciate it so much. And, while you're in the airplane a lot, you can, of course, like you say, you can download them and listen to them while you're in the air. Jaron Kleber, National Sales Manager, Repair Shop of Tomorrow and Napa Auto Care Endorsed Program. Thanks for your friendship. Thanks for being on the show, man.
All right, Carm, thanks you.